Good evening and welcome to the Nobody Asked Me Guy show. Yes, I'm your host, Melvin Lars. And listen, guys, this evening we have a great show lined up for you. We have with us none other than Brother Andre D. Harrison, A.K.A. Dre. And as Dre is with us, we're going to talk a little bit about, first of all, let me say this. I call bios resumes. So we're going to talk a little bit about Dre's resume. And then, of course, he's going to fill you in even more. The topic that we're going to be sharing tonight is being a single dad and relationships that matter. And we're going to infuse this with various types of conversations that we'll be sharing. Feel free to join in with us. We have two cameras that are vacant. Feel free to join at any time if you want to directly speak with Dre. And please let me say to you very openly is that this is the Andre Harrison Show. I'm just hosting the Nobody Asked Me guy. So when you have questions relative to relationships, when you have questions relative to being a single dad, etc., feel free to talk directly to Dre. You will not hurt my feelings. This is our open show. So, guys, listen, as we get started, as I said before, we have a dynamic young man with us. Andre is the founder and director of the Roll Call, and he'll tell us more about that. His desire is to see men be more involved in their homes and communities and to aid fathers in playing an active role in the lives of their children by providing them with resources to help them enhance their parenting capabilities. How great is that? How great is that? A young man that's talking to you that's going to share more with you about that. He has over 15 years experience as a full-time pastor of youth and family ministry at a New York City church and has experience working in Head Start in the social service division. Now, Andre is a father of three sons who was raised without his father. He has authored a book called From a Fatherless Father to His Sons. Wow. A guide for young men growing up without a father. To help a single mother, and it also helps single mothers in understanding their adolescent sons, and a message to absentee fathers to encourage them to reclaim their role as a father. Andre travels, he speaks, and he conducts seminars to young men, for young men and women, single mothers, and fathers. And guys, get this. He's also a third grade teacher. Now, you talk about building a foundation, and we talk about education and where children should start. What better way than to have a male, and dare I say, a fully melanated male sharing with our young people. So, guys, here is Brother Andre Dre Harrison. Dre, great to
Hey,
have you with us this evening, my brother.
it's good to be. It sounds like Andre's doing too much. He needs to slow down.
Well, listen, man. Hey, when I was growing up, old men used to tell me all the time that hair. Well, I talked to them about being bald headed, and they said hair can't grow on a busy street. So you are just being busy, brother. You just keeping the
Yeah.
sidewalk clean. That's all.
Yeah, trying.
You just keep the sidewalk clean. So
Yeah,
listen.
thank you for having me.
Yes. Listen, man, it's great having you here. And again, we want to thank our friends for being here. Shannon's always in here swinging with us, man. We're happy that she's here. I
What
think
up?
I'm seeing So Steph as well. And we're glad that So Steph is here. And again, we just want to share, ladies, anytime you want to grab a spot and FaceTime with us, please feel free to do so. Brother Dre, we talked before coming on this show and we talked about some questions that we might talk about. And I just wanted to ask, are you comfortable with one universally accepted and or definitive definition in defining an effective father?
Um, all right. So, an effective father
Yes.
is. Are you asking me to define it, right?
Yeah, that and are you comfortable with just one definition? We try to make everything so generic and all of that kind of thing. And I just wondered if you being a dad that's raising three boys and are you comfortable with this one definition defining what an effective father is?
I would have to say yes because as a father, they're really it's not that difficult. And whenever we complicate things, to be more deeper than it really is, then we cause confusion and we cause unrealistic expectations. And so if there is like one universal definition of what the role of a father should be, and it's acceptable I
Yes.
would definitely, get behind it.
Okay. Okay. Would you share with us your definition? If you're comfortable giving us a quote candid definition that Dre feels that might be helpful to individuals out there, what might your definition be?
Yeah, a father would be, if I was to have a definition, a father would be a present and available piece to the raising of children and support to the family. Like I firmly believe this, and this is something that I've stood behind for years. Strong fathers build strong families build strong communities. You don't look at, if you look at, some broken down communities, one thing that you'll find in many of them, if not all, is a lack of strong male role models in the community.
Mm.
So if you have a father that is present and available to rightly teach their children the right way to go and guide them in that direction, then you have a good father. Period.
Okay. Wow. So listen, might we have a conversation on this, because I certainly want to get your viewpoint, Brother Dre. And the question is, we incessantly hear the quote, "Children do not come with instructions." Now, as a father, did and do you feel more or less comfortable with this assertion? That children don't come with a set of instructions, so that gives us an excuse to continue to fall over ourselves, many of us, when it comes to parenting, and as dads especially.
Mm. Um, so yeah, I definitely agree with children don't come with instruction. They
Okay.
really don't, and especially since each child that you have can be completely different. It's not like when they come out of the mother's womb, you know, out of the placenta comes a guide to teach you how to raise this one specific child. Children are different. So there's not like one specific way to raise a child. But I think that that's the beauty of being a parent, being a father, is identifying, loving your child enough to identify the right way to interact and raise that individual child.
Hmm.
When we have when we have an idea of what we want our children to be like, then we fall into that cookie cutter model, and then we're not being really effective in allowing our children to find out who they are. Right. The goal is to raise secure children. At the end of it, we all want our children to be secure when they grow up, and in everything that security encompasses, we want our children to have that. Um, One thing that we can do to make sure that our children can find that is finding out how to love them and raise them as individuals, and not accepting a cookie cutter model or a guidebook to raising a specific child or
Okay. Wow. Well, listen, I certainly would like to piggyback off of what you're saying with a question.
yeah.
Many quote, and the reason I use a quote because uh, we carry the title of athlete, but many of us really are not. We're just participants.
Mm-hmm.
But many athletes, for some reason, have this idea that if he is fortunate enough for his significant other, hopefully a spouse, to bore a son, then there seems to be this power struggle to have the son follow in his footsteps as being this quintessential or this star athlete. It, as you just finished sharing with us about children have been individual, and there's nothing that comes with them. What might you say to that dad? I have some friends. I'll be very frank. I have some friends with that attitude, and as a dad yourself, as a relationship, I'm going to call you an expert, whether you want me to or not. As a relationship expert,
Right.
what would you share with those dads who think that their son must be a clone to be successful?
Um, so that reminds me of the LeVar Ball, somewhat like the LeVar Ball.
Okay.
As a father, you want to introduce your children to all kinds of things. And I was a baller growing up, and I've introduced my children to basketball. But if it's not something that they wanted to do or didn't grow in, I didn't push it on them. I did with my oldest son at first, and I got to the point where I say, you know what, if this isn't what you really want to do, I'm not going to push you to do it. Find out what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be a two-edged sword though, because some of our sons would grow up, and daughters for that matter too, would resent us because we're pushing them to be successful in this one particular thing. And kids change their minds all the time. One minute they want to be a doctor, then a police officer, then a basketball player, then a football player, then an artist, then a scientist. So I get it, but molding my children into who I am, whether it's an athlete or a pastor or a teacher, I think isn't always the right thing. If my child says, Dad, I want to be like a teacher like you when I grow up, when they get old enough and I see them going in that direction, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna give them the resources to push them in that same direction. The whole goal is to have secure children. Like we can have like what I would be afraid of, bro, is I push my children to play basketball, right? And they make it to the NBA. They're not secure in who they are, but now they got millions of dollars, women throwing themselves at them, right? There's pressure of being famous, the limelight, and all that stuff, but they still don't know who they are and what they really liked in the beginning. They're going to wind up seeking validation in other people, doing things to remain relevant, falling into drugs and things like that. Success isn't always reaching, the pinnacle of a career like the NBA or becoming the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation. A success for our children really has to be, what do you want to do, or what is it that you're going to be doing to help you become happy, successful, and secure as an adult? Like the thing is, as parents, we protect our children when they reach certain age, and then we let them loose to go experience life. In that time that we have them, we have to teach them how to become secure in who they are. So when they do leave, they're solid enough not to fall into certain traps that the world is going to bring, because the world is going to bring that, or if they do fall, they can go back and think, wow, I remember my dad telling me this. Let me be careful. I don't want to fall into the same trap again. So the success that I may think is success, but if that success is for me, I can't really push that on my child, because they may reach that mind, that what I think is success, probably having to do with money, dollars, or position, but they can be broken inside, not secure, and that's not success. That's not real success, at least.
Wow, thank you. That's very, very powerful, very powerful.
Yeah.
Now, when you hear the word single parent,
Mm-hmm.
what is your professional visualization and experience of said parent?
Mm-hmm.
Now, does this abdicate the absent parent from his or her responsibility? Because we that
Yeah.
that word is thrown around, Dre, so much. Single parent, single parent. It's embraced by the world,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I'll be very frank. I just wonder, do we feel that gives us a pass to not put our best foot forward when it comes to raising our children?
Yeah. For some it does. For some it definitely does. I look at the word single, and that single kind of takes the relationship status of the parent that has the child. So let's like for me, for instance, I would probably be considered a single parent because I'm not married. I'm living alone, and I have my kids living with me.
Yes.
Okay. Their kids, my kids see their mother on occasion, not that often, not as much as at least I would like, or maybe what they would like. But she's around, and they sort of have access to her. But that title still doesn't, give me allowances to slack as a parent, to not do what I need to do as a parent, or to use it as an excuse or a crutch for others to feel bad for me either. No, like that. I may be doing this on my own, and I may be a single father, but it really is only because I'm the kids live with me. I'm the only adult in the home, and I'm not married. So
Okay.
for me, that's what it is. So when I think about single parents, I'm looking at it as a relationship status type of thing, not really the role of the parent. Um, regardless regardless of a person being a single parent or not, the child still needs both parents in the home.
Yes.
Now it
Yes.
goes back to the security thing that I've been talking about.
Yeah.
The goal is to raise secure children. And even if both parents aren't living in the home, right, children can still grow up to be more secure. They'll have a higher rate of being more secure if they have access to both parents, whether they are living with a quote unquote single parent or not. So single parent does not mean that, I'm the single parent. They're my kids, and they're my kids alone because they live with me, and she's going to need permission to come see my kids. These are our kids still. They're
Yeah.
ours, and we need to be raising them together, regardless if we live together or not,
Yeah.
regardless if we're still married or not.
Yeah.
Um, but some people take that single parent title to a whole different level. And these are my kids. No, they're still ours. And this is no knock against the woman. The woman is an amazing uh uh just being a woman is amazing. To be able to house life inside of you and more or less incubate and care for and nurture life until it's able and ready to be independent from the world is a beautiful thing. But at the end of the, not even at the end of the day, in the beginning of the day, it still takes two to make that baby.
Yeah.
And in true balance, if it takes two to make a child, it should take two to raise a child as well,
Yeah.
regardless if the relationship is intact between the parents or not. So if I'm a single father, it's not because I'm raising the children on my own. Even if I am, that's not why I'm a single father. I'm a single father because I'm not married. And I'm a father. That's it.
Wow. Wow. Hey, man, that is powerful. I've never heard it put together that way. That is
Yeah.
powerful. That's very powerful. Now, and with that stated, man, it's perfect segue into the next question. There's so much talk about moms being quote, and I ask this question all the time, especially when I'm confronting, and I say confronting parenting. Is that it seems to be a foregone conclusion that mothers make the ultimate better parent. And my question is that something that you embrace, or is that something that you go, well, maybe, or do you totally disagree with that?
Mhm.
That mothers ultimately make the better parent.
All right. So this is an unpackable discussion. Okay. So
Yeah.
um, see now some of the things I'm all about balance. I think that there's a balance to everything. Um, Male, female, mom, dad. There's a balance to everything. A lot of time, this starts from inception, and because the idea of the woman being pregnant with the child first, it starts from there, and automatically people think that the maternal instincts kick in at that moment, and that's not always the case. It's not always the case.
Mhm.
Um, just like the paternal instinct doesn't always kick in when the child is born. A father could really be 100% engaged in the child and in the rearing of the child from the time the child is conceived. So I don't believe that women or mothers are automatic caregivers and should be automatically the ones to have a child or to keep a child in a breakup because moms make better parents. And honestly, and this is just I so there's data out there to support this, but in observational data, things that I've observed as of late, within the past 10, 15 years,
Yeah.
it seems like the pendulum is swinging the opposite direction, where we have more fathers now taking a more active role than even the mothers that are living in the homes with their kids.
Mhm.
So there's a pendulum swing because the honest truth is, in from like the mid '70s up until the 2000s, it's been a pattern of fathers leaving the home and doing them. and not really being there for their children. It's not every father, but it goes across racial lines too. So it's
Yes.
not, because in fact, in studies show that in the 90s, the most active in the father in the 90s and the 2000s was the African American father, even the one that didn't live in the home. So,
Yes.
so that idea and that concept came from no data. Actually, it was rooted in racism because they wanted to show that the black male ain't good for nothing. And a lot of times, that rhetoric is pushed by black women who have children that have kept their children from their fathers, and
Yes.
that father is like saying, "Why am I paying child support for a child I can't even see?" And now the dad isn't good for anything. So, the most active father demographically was the African American father in the 90s and the 2000s up until now. But
Great.
but yeah, I don't think that just because the mom is a mom and she is automatically equipped to be a better parent.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
Well, okay, man. Listen, I'm loving
But
it
those are not
because
against mothers, though. Like, I'm not knocking mothers. I
no,
was raised by my mother and my grandmother, so they did their best. So I'm not knocking mothers at
mhm.
all, but it's
No,
not automatic.
I am so happy that, quite honestly, I hope our audience is too, is that you're answering the question the way you answered it because
Mhm.
you already know, man, and you've explained it. So I won't insult you by re-explaining what you've just explained. But
Mhm.
the myth is out there, and we know why the myth is out there to begin with.
Yeah.
And sometimes mothers will argue very vehemently in the opposite direction. But that's not our conversation tonight. So unless some mom wants to come on and talk with you about that. But listen, I thank you for that.
Can we stay there
Go ahead.
just for a minute?
Sure.
Uh, it seemed like there's been um, a plot to make the black father irrelevant in the home as well.
Hmm.
That's coming from the government all the way down.
Yes.
So what we do is we equip the single black mother with everything they need. Not like an abundant life, but everything that they need: food stamps, rent assistance, welfare, WIC, and only up until like 10 years ago were fathers allowed to apply for WIC. Before that, fathers were not allowed to apply for WIC. Okay, in fact, the only reason why I was able to get WIC is because my youngest son was already on WIC,
Okay.
and when she left, they didn't take him off.
Okay.
So, but only now fathers can apply for WIC. So it seems like the government has done everything they can to make the black father irrelevant, even to the point of educational resources. Right. The most educated demographic in America today is who?
Black
The
women.
black female, the black woman. All
Yeah.
right. They're receiving opportunities that black males are not getting. So now, from the lower end, from the poverty end, you have women not needing men because they're getting assistance from the government. Okay, from the higher end, right, we're giving educational financial assistance to the black female and not to the black male. So now, when they reach that higher end, they still don't need a black male. Like,
Okay.
so, it's
By
a
design.
by design. So it's a whole deeper thing to unpack as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
but not saying that we need to go there today, but it really is designed
Hey,
to
go there, man. Go there, brother. If you,
it's designed. And
yeah, yeah,
um, some people won't want to see it that way, but when they
mm,
look into it and they follow the yellow brick road, it's going to lead them to the wizard. It really will, and they're going to be like,
yeah,
"Wow, this really." I mean, I don't want to believe it, but the data really does show that this is what's happening.
yeah.
So I think that it's hard for the black male because like black men, like men in general, but black male, they want to be with their kids. They
Yes.
may not necessarily know how, but they still need the opportunity to be a father to their children. And if you some jobs, right, require on the job training. Period.
Absolutely.
So a mother is not born a mother, right? they learn being a mom after that child is born, just like a father learns being a father after that child is born. So if one parent has more access to the child than the other, or one parent who has custody of the child refuses access to the father, then how are you going to ever give them an opportunity to be a great father? Right. And here's a deep thing about this too. I know killers in the street, like actually know killers in the street, right? That would see their child that they've never interacted with, right? And would, say, yeah, here's a couple of dollars, just because,
Yeah. Yeah.
they want to, because inside them, they want to be there. They want to protect, they want to provide for their child. And I'm talking about killers in the street,
I hear
like
you.
killers, and they still want to be there for their child. Come on, like
That's
you got to give them an opportunity. And imagine this, like you, and this is the thing about being there for. I'll give you another example. All right, a couple of years ago, I worked at a community center, and there was this one guy. He's older now; he's in his mid-20s, who would come in. He didn't have a father, and he would he would turn the place up, Nightly, I would have to kick him out. Nightly, I have to say, it's time to go. I have to walk him out. A couple of nights, we had to call the police to escort him out. Right? He had a baby. Totally different person. When I mean, like, just was it yesterday? What's today?
Today's Friday. Uh-huh.
Wednesday, I went to go pick up my car from the mechanic, right? And as I'm walking there, I see him, and I could tell it's him because he's in his basketball short. His I hate saying it, but calling it this, but the wife beater, tank top. He's got his do rag on and his not flip flops, the Nike flippers with his socks on, pushing a stroller and walking with another little girl holding the hand right in the street. And I'm like, bro, like, hey, how you doing? Like, I told him I was proud of you. I said, you gave us a hard time a couple of years ago. Yeah. And it seemed like you are stepping up to your responsibility and you want to give your children something that you didn't have growing up. Come on, like it's there. Like they want to have that connection. And sometimes they just don't know how, or they're not provided the opportunity to. And,
but Dre, it's so great you're sharing this because we don't have that conversation enough. No. And as you talk about the father, I tell you what, I told you guys I'm of the AARP era, and one thing that really opened my eyes, although I have my opinion about integration even now in 2019, we were led to believe in the hood that only some of us were the ones that quote didn't have dads or stepdad, but one thing that got my attention, and I was sharing with my wife. I mean, I was just in awe, man, of all of the lies and things that we believe in the Black neighborhood. And when I started to realize there were so many of our less melanated sisters and brothers that were, quote, adopted by their stepdads, that they were stepdads, etc. They had the stepdad's name. And so it's a cloud that is intentionally placed on people of color when in fact, as you said earlier, it's universal. But I'm telling you, man, I was blown away. I was literally blown away. So I appreciate you sharing what you're sharing. Again, man, I mean, hey, you on fire and you just hitting these points all around, man. The argument continues to this very day that women cannot raise boys. And I love to talk about this topic as well. I was raised primarily by a single mom, and I don't think I turned out too badly. I know many men that were reared by single moms. I don't think they turned out too badly as well. But, the question continues is that can women raise successful men and boys? And obviously we know there are mitigating circumstances. So I'm not, feel free to go there. But I just what's your take on that?
So, without speaking in absolutes, all right. I don't want to say a single mom can never raise a good man. Like that's not true. Our last president, was a great husband, great father. He ran the country, and he was raised by a single woman. So I don't want to say that But I will say that some women, when raising sons, would sort of train their sons to be who not to be the men that hurt them in their past.
Mm-hmm.
So they come off a little strong. This like, believe it or not, it's single mothers that push hyper masculinity upon among men more than men do, right?
Okay.
Or if not more, about the same. Okay, because I remember hearing these things growing up. Also, stop crying. You're not a female. You're not a girl. Man up. Like, like for a single mom to tell a 5-year-old boy, man up, stop crying. Like, that does something traumatic to a boy's psyche. And you're sending neurons and lighting up things in the head to make them think that, okay, as a man, I can't be this way.
Yeah.
So then they grow up to be hostile, aggressive, emotionally unintelligent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the danger in single mothers raising a boy to become a man without the presence and guidance of a man to show them how. I think that's important. And there's not one woman that's going to convince me that that's not a good thing. Even
Right.
if the biological father is toxic and they should not be, I'll co-sign that. But they still need a substitution to show them what a good man is.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do your best. Like, women have done their best to try their hardest to point boys in the right direction to become a
Yes.
man. But some people really need to see it modeled for them. The best way to practice something is to model it. When I was in high school, right? You know how many Michael Jordan tapes I would watch over and over and over and over and over again and practice those moves until I got it. You know, um, I just think that mothers are great. Single mothers are great, and for generations they have done an amazing job.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that is that they were forced to do it because from the time of the transatlantic slave trade, where we were property, and we were sold off to the men were sold off, and the sons, when they got of age, were sold off to other plantations. Women were the ones that were raising families on their own, and after that, men tried to get reacclimated into the home, and it was hard for them to do so because they didn't know anything else but being property and going from this place to that place, so they never had time to make a solid connection.
Mm-hmm.
And through generations, we've residually struggled with that. So women at one point were forced to do it on their own. We're approaching a day where the pendulum is swinging, and men want to be involved. And I will say this: I think now that because there's been more of an awareness of the child support system, how it's been designed to empower the female and separate black children from their fathers. I think more men are now trying to step up, wanting to be a part of their child's life, even if it's motivated because they don't want to have to pay, 2/3 of their check in child support. They rather just be there and help raise a child. That's fine. But I think that, yeah, so like they can raise good men, but they would have a better chance in raising good men if they have a strong model for the young boys to follow as it becomes to being a good man. So,
Mm-hmm. Great. Listen, as you share that, let me then ask about domestic violence
yeah,
among boys. Now, obviously, we all have enough intelligence to understand that violence is violence, and we
yeah,
know why they've so coined it domestic violence. And as you've just shared very, very eloquently, I might add, about the separation and boys being psychologically damaged by being told, a 5-year-old being told to man up and he's not
yeah,
supposed to cry, etc. And we struggled as a nation with violence being committed against our significant others, be we married to her or not. Many. Sometimes I'll be very honest with you, Dre. I have a hard time calling them men, and that's personal for me. But many men feel that it's justified to engage, I should say, in violence against their wives, against their girlfriends, etc. And you talked about the psychological damage many times that's done to boys because of the if I can use the word trauma that we encounter at very young ages. So in your expert opinion, and as you look at relationships and that kind of thing, do you think that might have anything to do with boys growing up with that mindset of possibly resenting women due to some of the things that he's experienced in being reared by a woman?
Yeah, I think that's definitely on the top of one of the reasons why males would do that. Now, first, let me just say this: there's not an excuse in the world that I feel that makes it justified for a man to ever put his hands on a female.
That's two of us.
Even if she initiates a physical contact, there are things that men can do to de-escalate the situation and never have to put their hands on a female.
Right.
And Shannon can speak on this too, because Shannon does amazing work with women that are in that situation. And this is and I think you and I could probably have a conversation about this afterwards, when the recording is off and people want to stay in after, because this actually is a really touchy topic for me.
Okay.
And I'll explain afterwards. And the reason why, because this would be on the internet, and there are certain things that I definitely don't want my kids privy to.
I understand. I understand.
But
I understand.
And no, in no way is a man justified for putting his hands on a female. But
Agreed.
Oprah Winfrey said it best. Oprah Winfrey said it best, and I respect her for saying this. She said, however, if you put your hand on a man, be prepared for the man to defend himself.
Yes.
So she said, don't be surprised if he hits you back. And but again, I'll still stop him and say, what are you doing? Like, chill, relax.
Yeah.
But then I would also turn to her and say, what do you think was going to happen? Like,
okay.
Chill, relax.
Okay.
But domestic violence is a big thing. And then when our kids see that, again, they model. They see that, they think it's normal. So when they grow up, they see that also. One thing I've never seen any man put their hands on my mother.
Mm-hmm.
My mother really sheltered us from that.
Okay.
But she experienced that growing up with my grandfather. And so she protected us from that. And she would never put us in a situation where she was in a relationship with a man that would put their hands on her. Mm-hmm. And my mom was crazy. Like she if they did that, it would be they probably wouldn't survive. Like my mom's not like
a price to pay.
Yeah, they would have been a price to pay. Like she's not gonna stand there and let nobody hit on her. Like this, my mother. But yeah, but no, there's no. I think that again, when it comes to the kids, our kids they grow up with trauma and insecure about that. That's why, like, even in co-parenting relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could be a very hostile situation where the parents don't even get along. And I was having this conversation with somebody a couple of weeks ago. They said that they brought up Alicia Keys and Alicia Keys, her husband, Swiss Beats, and Swiss Beats' ex-wife. How they do things together, they go on family vacations together, so on and so forth. Even with Will Smith and Jada Pinkett and his ex-wife.
I saw that. Yeah.
And they said that I would never allow that. And I said, well, why? And they said, because it's inappropriate. I said, well, what makes it inappropriate? Because they're no longer together. There's no reason why for them to do things like that together. They're no longer together. I said, but they have a child together. That's irrelevant. So I stopped her and I said, do you realize that kids who see their parents doing things together for them statistically grow up a little bit more secure? Mm-hmm. So it's not that takes a level of releasing our pride and saying, you know what, I was hurt by this person, but I'm willing to forgive, move on with my life as well. but still raise this child together. And that means sometimes doing, because regardless, this child is my family, this child is also your family, which in essence, this child is the bridge for both of us. We're going to have to do things together. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. One of the most awkward things to ever see, and I've had a chance to officiate weddings where this has happened, where, and this is like years after the fact, where the couple, one of the couples that's getting married, they're old enough to get married, where their parents could barely be in the same room together, even for their child's wedding.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
Yes, yes.
That's like, all these years, that's a problem.
Yes,
right. There's no reason why two parents that's no longer together, that may have even moved on, can't get together and meet each other at the park so that they both can have fun with their child together, so that child can feel a sense of love and community. And they know that, because here's the thing about children, they're smart, they're resilient, and they know what's happening.
Yeah,
they'll realize mom and dad, they're not together no more. They'll even know, and they don't really get along, but they'll come together and get along for me.
Yes.
How would you think that will make a child feel?
That's powerful. That's powerful.
Come on. So when it comes to domestic violence and getting along and all that stuff, there's no reason. So let me go back. There's no reason why a man should ever put his hands on a female.
Thank you, Shannon. Feel free to join us if you like. Now, you don't have to stay silent. We're getting ready to wrap this up. As you can see, I see the comments Shannon is sharing with us here, Dre, and she's right on point with us. And I want to invite her in if she'd like. We're getting ready to wrap this thing up. But I want you, Brother Dre, to feel free to continue to share as you're comfortable with this.
Yeah. So, Shannon says hands should be to heal, and not to help to harm, to hurt, hinder. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. So I think, I just we worry about the So two parents, even in a domestic situation, it's about the security of a child, and if there isn't a child involved, that could be a blessing. You guys can sever all ties and never have to communicate with one another again.
Mm-hmm.
But when there are children involved, you got to walk carefully and think about what's best for the child and what's going to help that child grow up to be more secure.
Absolutely.
Which is probably going to be a book, if it's not already a book, coming soon. Raising Secure Boys. We'll see.
Well, listen, you did the perfect segue, brother, because I was going to ask you to talk to us a little bit about your book.
Okay, yeah. So, and you know what? I feel bad because I thought the book was released Father's Day of 2012, and I have I want to say about eight books partly written in a queue.
I know how that goes.
So I'm but I was going through school, so I had to focus in on that. And I wanted a couple of letters behind my name too. So here's where the pride comes in. Probably, I think it's more of a marketing standpoint where people tend to buy books with authors who are unknown that have letters behind their name. So I get that. So so I may do a re-release of From a Father's Father to His Sons, include some reference notes so that it could be included in collegiate level reading. University reading and university libraries. But the book is called From a Fatherless Father to a Son. It was released Father's Day of 2012. I think it's a good book. People that have read it thought it was a good book. And I enjoyed writing it because one thing I'm passionate about is raising my sons and being the best father I can be. I'm no means perfect, but I work hard in trying to be the best that I can be to teach my kids and to love on them. And there's one thing that my kids will probably never say is that they doubt if their dad loves them. They'll tell you, yeah, dad's not perfect, but they'll also say, but he loves me a lot.
But do me a favor, Dre.
Yeah.
Whenever you encounter that perfect being before your final days, please introduce me.
I will.
I'm going to hold you to that.
I got you.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna see if I can find that perfect.
Okay.
So when I wrote the book, I wrote it from sort of like a a mentor type of voice where I was instructing young men. And these are things that I teach my own kids. When I was a youth pastor and when I was doing boys groups and mentoring young men, these are things that I would teach them also. And I said, let me put it in a book and release it. Like there are things that I went through growing up that I probably would not have gone through if I had the guidance of a father.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that, and the thing is, specifically, young Black males aren't known for reading.
Right.
So I wrote this book hoping that I can write it with the English, the the wording is not too deep, too difficult, and easy to understand because I wanted young males, specifically young Black males, to read this and get something from it.
Mm-hmm.
But I really wanted to have something out there for boys trying to identify where they can go to become a man, to sort of point them in the right direction. One of the most beautiful things a father can do for their kids, for their sons, is tell them, you become a man. Like, I'm proud of you. You're a man now.
Yeah.
And I think in essence, we all want that.
Yeah.
We all want that.
Absolutely.
That
Absolutely.
validation, like, wow, my father thinks that I became a man.
Absolutely.
Like I've had great men in my life. My uncle, my little brother's father, Pop. I could call him Pop. He's been there for me, and they both have told me how proud of me because of the man I am today.
Great.
And that's done more for me than probably any other word that anybody could ever give me. Because growing up, I saw them as men,
Mm-hmm.
and now that I'm older, they see me as a man, and that validation is a beautiful thing, and that's something that we don't have. We don't have like a rites of passage in
Right.
our communities.
Right.
One of the beautiful things about the Jewish culture is that they have what's called a bar mitzvah and a bat mitzvah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a celebration of a rites of passage. Even in some uh, African communities and villages, they have rites of passage ceremonies for their young men. We don't have that.
Yeah.
We have, we have this. You had sex while you became a man.
Yeah.
You're not a man
Yeah.
until you get a gun. You're not a man until this is what a man is. And
Yeah.
I think that that's where what that term toxic masculinity comes from.
Yeah.
Uh, but in writing this book, I wanted to really identify the direction that these young men can go to find out what it means to be a man, even if they don't have a father or a male figure to show them how.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I hope I accomplished that goal.
Well, hey man, listen, I'm sure that you did accomplish it, and you are continue to accomplishing it. So listen, I think this is a perfect place to end our conversation.
All right.
I want to thank you very much for being here because you certainly laid down some strong nuggets, brother.
Oh,
And again, I want to repeat what I said earlier: is that as an old guy in the AARP crowd, it just does my heart good, man. When I see young people, and I'm not embarrassed to say it, especially young people of color who are conscious of what's going on around them, who take the time to be impressive and to grow our young men and women, man, because it for we talk about the village and you talk about the elders, and sadly I say to my wife all of the time that it was our generation that dropped the ball because when I was a young man, even the guy, as you said a moment ago, say take just $2 or $3, even the
yeah.
guys that would be on the corner drinking wine or whatever, they better not see you during school hours.
Yeah.
They better not see you doing things that you weren't supposed to be doing, and that kind of thing. And I really think it was my generation that dropped the ball. So it's just very refreshing, and I want to say that to you publicly because, as you already know, man, this stuff goes out on YouTube and Facebook and all over. And I just need to say to you publicly, brother, I don't know your uncles, but I can certainly see what they're talking about because when I watched you on your show, man, when I listened to you, I said, this brother here, this young man, I had to give this brother a fist pump because I'm really proud of you, man. And being the elementary teacher that you are, and being a former administrator, teacher, coach, etc., that work with young men, help to extract kids from gangs. I was very fortunate. That's why I'm saying I love talking to you, man. I've had the privilege of working with the great Jim Brown and his American program, and programs that we have called Dare to Be Positive and that kind of thing. So when we get the opportunity to meet young brothers, and sometimes, Dre, let me say, I get on older guys like I'm 66 years old, Dre, and I get on older guys like mine and say, hey, man, you guys need to train and teach and work with these young brothers. Go somewhere, have you a seat. These young girls are not interested in you; they're interested in your wallet. So let's mentor these young brothers and get these young brothers going forward, man. So I just want to say again, thank you for being here. I'm very very happy that you've taken the time to share as you've shared. I want to thank Shannon for being with us this afternoon. She decided not to come on and share with us on FaceTime, but that's okay. She's been with us before. So Dre,
next time, Shannon.
Yeah, next time.
Yeah.
If you would share with us, please, sir, how might others contact you?
All right. So I'm gonna put it on the screen now.
Okay.
These are ways that you can contact me and get in touch with me. On Instagram at Andre_D_Harrison. On Facebook at not at the.andre.d.harrison, and on Twitter at Andre D. Harrison. You can also, if you see the Harrison Family Vlogs on YouTube.com, go there. Subscribe to me and my son's YouTube channel. There you'll be able to see a little bit more about who I am. You can meet my kids on YouTube and follow my family. I don't have a big subscribership there. I'm like, I have 449 subscribers. I'm like trying to get that 450th, and I'm trying to grow. But yeah, if you guys can go on my YouTube channel, you get to see a little bit about me and where we open up our lives to you guys a little bit. Yeah. So that's my contact information, and I would love to connect with you guys on social media. I'm active. I make sure I write everybody that writes me. I appreciate the community.
Fantastic. And again, guys, we want to thank Mr. Andre D. Harrison, A.K.A. Dre. Guys, you can contact me. I'm the host of the Nobody Asked Me Guy show, Melvin Lars. You can contact me at www.dyingonmyfeed.com. I'm an author, poet, writer. I do a lot of things, but more importantly to me, the things that I do is to be a conduit for our young leaders like Dre and other young men that move forward. So feel free at any time if you'd like to contact me. You can contact me at my website, www again dot brighter future. I'm sorry, dyingonmyfeet.com, or my email address, abrighterfuture91@gmail.com. And listen, I'm not above receiving telephone calls. 440-935-0374. If you don't get me, please leave a message, and I promise I will return your call. And again, we thank you very much. Again, Shannon, we thank you. I see Dr. Vibes just popped in with us, man. Dr. Vibe, we're glad you're here, brother. If you'd like to share something real quickly, man, please jump on. We're just kind of closing down the segment, but it's always great to have you. And Dre, I always make a point, and Dr. Vibe knows this. I always make a point of telling people Dr. Vibe is certainly my mentor. He kind of got me started in this direction, and we just been having a blast. So I always like to give that brother a shout out. I think Dr. Vibe is a great brother, and you guys need to check him out as well. And check Miss Shannon out as well. We know that Shannon has a ton of books. Thank you for coming on, Dr. Vibe. And Shannon is doing a lot of books and a lot of book writing. She's published a lot of books, and so please check her out. And Shannon, if you want to hop on and share where they can find your information, please share. Dr. Vibe, what's going on, my brother?
Everything's going good, gentlemen. How we doing?
Great. We're doing just great. Good. It's always good to see you.
I've got a quick conversation piece for Dre.
Go right ahead.
How was the way you were raised influenced the way you've raised your children as a father?
So because I wasn't raised with my father, it influenced me to make sure that I am always there and available for my kids as their father. So knowing the feeling of not having my father around motivates me to be there for my kids. so that they never have to feel that feeling of not having their father around.
Being a single dad and having relationships with their kids is tough, and developing relationships with them are very tough.
Yeah.
What has been the most challenging thing?
The most challenging thing. I mean, other than paying all the bills by myself,
Other than that,
not receiving child support, and so I guess we talked about this, the cookie cutter approach. There's not really a guide to raising children. So I have all three of my kids are vastly different.
right?
Like the spectrum is wide. They are different individuals with different likes, different desires, and the I guess the hardest part is being intentional and not comparing the three of them with one another, so they can find out who they are, and they can grow to be the more secure them when they go older. And that's something that you probably heard me say a lot, Melvin, because that's my thing. Like I want my kids to be secure growing up. Like it doesn't matter what they want to be. They can be a world traveler. They can be a lawyer. They can be a manager at a Chick-fil-A. What's going to make you happy? What's going to make you secure as a person? What's going to make you feel fulfilled? That's what I want for you. And so being intentional and not comparing the two and saying, well, this son is going to college. What happened to you? Not doing that.
Okay.
And I still have to do that because my kids are still fairly young.
Do you, through your journey, have you had conversations with other single dads? And if you have, are the conversations different now than they were 2 or 3 years ago? And do you and also in those conversations, do you share the same challenges?
So the conversation, there's not a lot of single dads that have custody of their kids.
Know that well.
So that's so it's rare that I have that. So it's hard because when I have conversations with some of them, most of the time I'm trying to get them to understand the necessity of the child support system. And it's only because I am in a place where I should be receiving child support. So some of them are upset about having to pay. What they're mostly upset about, if they are, is that they have to pay and they don't have the same equal access to their child as the mother.
Right.
So that's been going on for years.
Oh yeah.
And that's continuous. So that's one of the reoccurring discussions we have. One of the things that I have seen change, and I was talking to Melvin about this, is about the pendulum swing, about how active and engaged and caring and nurturing and loving these fathers are with their kids. I see just as many fathers coming to school for parent-teacher conference, picking up their kids after school and dropping them off, as I do mothers today.
Wow. So, I haven't experienced that, Dre, in my 30 plus years of education.
You got to see.
Never experienced that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I do a lot with fathers. I'm a program coordinator of the only family-focused fathering center in all of Canada. So I hear what you're saying. I see it live. What I hope happens is that the energy and the strength mobilizes. I would love to see it become an election issue.
Yeah,
right? An election issue.
Absolutely, because it needs to be put out there. Because when I share with ladies what I do, they get it, and they express the need for it and more of it. So there has to be hopefully a way of mobilizing these concerns, because there's a lot of energy put out in trying to get the access. I know more. I deal with it every day in regards to fathers, in regards to access, and I think one of the things that fathers need to be is they always need to be treated with fairness and respect. Now there are some that don't deserve it, but there are many fathers, single fathers out there that are not being treated with fairness and respect, and that's where it has to start.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
So I won't take too much of your time because you're at the top of the hour. I just wanted to jump in and support wherever I can. And sorry, I'm sorry if there was anything repeated. Sorry about that.
Well, first of all, as we step away from the recording, let me say this, guys, to all those that are still listening, is that Dr. Vibe can never take away from our time. He's a major resource. He has a lot to share.
Absolutely.
And he's always on top of it. So those of you that are with us, just indulge the brother because he has a lot to say.
Can I just share? Well, I'll talk about it off here because Dre, I know you wanted to catch a conversation last night, but I have an idea once we go off.
Okay, guys. Again, thank you for joining us. And one last thing, next week, if you're not too busy, join us again. We're going to have our pediatrician, Delana Musilak. She's known as Dr. Mom. If you're interested, you can go on YouTube and check out some of her work. If you have children, small ones, etc., now you can ask the question directly of Dr. Mom on the Nobody Ask Me Guy show next Friday, 7:00 p.m. Thank you for joining us, and it's been great having you again, Dre. We really appreciate you being here. Dr. Vibe, thank you for popping in and sharing with us. Miss Shannon, as always, it is a pleasure to have you with us. You guys have a great night and be blessed.
Peace.